So the problem I chose was this one right here, and I'm gonna start up. So Chernum and Burnham stock valuation. All right, current market price. Actually, I want to do dividend. Dividend zero required return growth rate. A constant growth dividend one, and then the intrinsic value for this one. Right. So let's do some formatting right here, just like so. And then bold it, extend this out. And then I'll extend this out too. All right. So it's gonna be 135, not 25, 35. And then it's gonna be 24.50 for the stock price. And their car turns in the 11%. This is going to be 4%. So do that. Currency, do that. Okay. Equals to this times 1 plus the growth rate. It's going to be equal to this divided by minus intrinsic price. It's going to be like that. All right, and then moving on to B. Let's do this really quick. It's going to be the two-stage growth model. So we're going to need year growth rate dividends terminal price. And then for the final one, it's going to be the present value of cash flows. So just like that. Let's just widen these a little bit more. All right. Uh, Align this across. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Let's put those over there. Growth rate is going to be equal to here. And we're going to add in that 9% annual growth that's followed by the 4% so it's 9% for 3 years. So just gonna do this, and then we're gonna change this to short term. Go like this. Change this back to long term. And then you go F4, drag this down. And then dividends is going to be equal to times the growth rate plus 1 to the power of the first year. Make sure to lock that one. And then let's drag this down. Okay, terminal price, we'll do that last. Present value of the cash flows divided by return plus 1 to the power of the first year, just like that. And then make sure to lock that. Perfect. All right, drag that down. To write that down. Okay. It's looking good. So now we just need to do this. It's going to be equal to this. That's going to be times 1 plus short-term growth divided by this minus the short-term growth. Perfect. And then here it's just going to be this plus this. Put these in parentheses. And that's going to be divided by 1 plus the required return and to the power. I'm sorry, not to the power. Yeah. All right, no, sorry. Um, Back to the power of this right here. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So now that we got that down, we can sum up these cash flows. So sum, uh, just like that. Right. And then let's do a border, bold. And then we'll do the underlines at the end. So for the H model, transition period, half-life, intrinsic value, and then growth premium. So same as before, we're going to center this. And then this is going to be 5. It's going to be equal to divided by 2, 2.5. Intrinsic value, I'm just putting this down. 6, so no, let's also just fix these really quick. So then the growth premium is going to be this times the half-life times long-term, extra parenthesis on accident, minus the short term, and that's going to be divided by the required return minus the short term. Let's center that. Then now we get our final stock value, and that is going to be sum of these. Perfect. And then let's color that green just to like let everyone know that's the answer, the H model. And then order, bold. And now we can move on to the 3-stage. And this one, I'm just going to copy this down because it'll be a lot easier. And then let's just rename this to the 3-stage. So for this one, we're going to need 0 because of that, the growth dissension of the percentages. So let's move that down. Okay, so we equal to 0.8, 0.8, 0.7 because of the dissension of them, and then we can just drag these down to here, and it's going to stop at 4%. So that is what we want. Let's enter all this percentage. All right, dividends. So we need the year one dividend in there so that we can do this times um, 1 plus the growth. And then I don't know why that's not centered, but drag this down. Then PV of the cash flows is going to be equal to this divided by 1 plus the required return to the power of that year. And then we got to make sure to block that. And then let's drag this down. And then right here, we're gonna do C return plus 1 divided by the required return minus the short term. Perfect. And then right here, we're just gonna do this divided by 1 plus the long-term growth rate. I'm sorry, not the long term, the required return to the power of the dedicated year. All right, that'll give us to that. And then let's do a sum function. And then that is going to be our final answer. Right, like that. And then let's just finish off the borders. And then now I'm just going to do this. Be faster to do it this way. Format. We'll see. HDR. 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 All right, there we go. So final step for me, I'm just gonna be doing D, A through D. So now we're gonna be creating these if statements. So if this is smaller than that, we're gonna go overvalued. And then we're gonna go if this is bigger than the market price, um, comma, it's undervalued, comma, and then the last one, if this is equal to this, fairly valued, just like so, and enter. So this is going to be the only equation I really need because I can just copy it down. And then now You just gotta change this. So now we just gotta go to E37 for all of these. And there we go. Now that I've shown you all those calculations, let's just go over and explain them just a little bit. So for part A, if we're assuming that the company is already mature and will simply grow at a 4% rate indefinitely, the Gordon growth model sets our baseline applying the 11% required return to next year's $1.40 dividend, which gives us an intrinsic value of $20.06. And for part two, the two-stage growth model. If the new product drives this 9% growth for 3 years before instantly coming back to 4%, the value rises to $22.90, and this is our most optimistic scenario. And it assumes that peak growth holds steady for 3 full years before dropping, rather than fading out gradually. And for part C, I guess part C1, the H model, um, since growth rarely drops instantly, the H model assumes a linear fade from 9% down to 4% over 5 years using a 2.5 year half-life to price this transition. And we arrive at a $22.47 stock. This is likely our most realistic estimate as it captures the natural gradual erosion of the company's competitive advantage. And moving down to the three stage for the part Z, we wanted just to verify the H model, and we calculated that the manual step down where this growth drops is about 1% annually. Stunning, sorry, sim, sorry. Summing these specific cash flows yields a $21.93 stock price, and this validates the H model's accuracy while still offering a slightly more conservative figure based on precise yearly inputs. So my final recommendation for these if statements is that all of them are going to be overpriced, but they're all going to be overvalued compared to that current market price at the end of the day.